Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Youthman. One of the questions that comes up quite often is, where does the name Youthman come from? Now, sometimes I'll see in the comments that man, you're looking kind of old there, Michael. You got gray hair. Shouldn't you change your channel name? Well, one of my Patreons recently asked that same question. Rusty Minch asked, where did the channel name come from? And could you elaborate more on that? And so over on Patreon, I'm going through a series of videos answering questions from patrons. And so they can ask me anything they want, and then I make videos just like this one answering those questions. So I wanted to share with you here on YouTube part of that series of videos. There's 4 videos I'm making currently, and so this is part of that video answering the question, where does Youthman come from? Hey, what's going on, patrons? Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. Today I'm in part 3 of a Q&A series. You guys have asked some great questions, and in this particular series, it's just on YouTube. What about YouTube? What questions do you have for me as a content creator? And already I've answered some great questions from David in video 1, and then I answered 2 of his questions in video 2, and in video 2 I finished that up with 2 of Adam's questions. So you guys have had some great questions. We're just going to keep on with this. Rusty has some awesome questions. Man, Rusty's got about 15 questions or 10. So I'm going to answer as many as I can in this video. And if it gets a little bit long or lengthy, then I'll roll those into the next video. So let's just jump right into it. So Rusty says, what's the story behind the channel name? I recall something about being a youth pastor. Could you share more about that? Absolutely. So I spent I guess it was 23 years of my career as a student pastor. So I came out of high school. I didn't become a Christian until I was about 15 years old in high school. A friend invited me to a local church in Plant City, gave my life to the Lord, and in my junior year of high school, I felt God was leading me into a student ministry. And so I took a position, I went off to Bible college for 3 years. After community college, and that was kind of local here. It's about an hour drive in Newport Richey. Went to Bible college there for 3 years, came back to my home church, and I applied. They didn't have a youth pastor at that time, and so I figured, man, if I can't get hired at my home church, I won't get hired anywhere. They hired me. I served there for 4 years part-time. Jessica and I were pretty much, we got married when we were in college. So had our first son there, and then we moved to Alabama for 4 years full-time. So that was my first full-time youth pastor position. And then after serving there 4 years, God moved us back to Florida in my home church again in Plant City. And we served at a local church for, I guess that was 14 years. So 23 years of my life has spent being youth man. Has nothing to do with age, has nothing to do with how much, gray hair I've got up here. I get those comments sometimes in the comment section, and it's pretty hilarious because they're like, man, you sure aren't youth man. You should be called old man. And I'm like, it has nothing to do with my age. It has to do with kind of what I've done and what I've spent a lot of my career doing. So anyway, so hopefully that answers your question there. Your next question kind of goes into that. It says, what was your motivation for starting the channel? If not for profit, how did you justify the significant amount of time investment? Okay, so kind of going back to that. So I spent 23 years as a student pastor. Pretty much most of my life, I've loved technology. I love photography. I love videography. I love graphic design, website design, all that kind of stuff. So I knew at the end of that 23 years, God was just kind of stirring up something different in me. Partly, I was getting older. I'm 45 years old, spending, from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. doing a lock-in with, 300 teenagers at what we call a bounce house, not bounce house, a trampoline park. So there's a bunch of trampolines in this big warehouse, and so staying up all night with teenagers doing that was not much fun to me. I'm getting older. But I really thought God was going to lead me into kind of like a media pastor. maybe at a bigger church doing their graphic design and website design and print design and video editing, things like that. Church announcements, maybe if it's video format. So I kind of thought that's where God was going to lead me. But instead, he led me to an incredible ministry local here called One More Child. Phenomenal ministry. But I served there for about a year as a communication specialist. So I was doing all of that. Graphic design, web design, video editing, lighting, just all kinds of stuff. And social media and print design, all that stuff that I just love. The whole time I was doing that, though, I was doing devotionals on how to be a kingdom-driven entrepreneur. I had this desire to be an entrepreneur, to have my own business. And so partly that was two things. That was YouTube and also my business in website development. And I've had that business, just as a side income for our family. It mostly pays for like vacations and things that break and all that stuff. So I've done that since 2004. So my desire was like, I just had this passion and this desire to be self-employed, to be an entrepreneur. And so I'm just, like I said, I was doing daily devotionals on like, how do you have a business and really honestly just do it God's way? How do you love people? How do you serve people? How do you take your business and look at it more than just financial for you and your family? Of course, every entrepreneur, every business owner, we want to make a profit. We want to be financially secure for our family, but I wanted it to be more than that. I wanted it to be a blessing to others. I wanted to be able to help. I wanted to be able to serve. And so through that whole year, like I said, I was just doing these devotionals on how to do business God's way, how to love people through your business, how to serve people through your business, and how to honor the Lord in the middle of that too. And so that was just my heart. And me and my wife, we just began to pray and saying, God, what do you want in this next chapter of our life? We really didn't know where God was going to lead us. I wasn't sure what that path was. I just knew I was working 3 jobs. I had a full-time job at One More Child, and then I had my website development business, and I was editing videos for YouTube and shooting those. And so, man, I was spending, sometimes I would go to bed at 4:30 in the morning, finishing editing a video for YouTube, and then get up at 8, and go to work. So it was just, not emotionally, it was just physically draining. But we were faithful. We're like, okay, this is the grind right now. This is where we're at. And so that's when, in January of 2020, right in the pandemic, we just felt that God was just leading us to take a step of faith, really, and to really just go all in with YouTube, go all in with my business and website development. And I tell you guys, it's just been an amazing journey, absolutely amazing. And God's been faithful through that. He's provided for our needs. And so that's kind of where the channel started. Technically, the channel started probably about 7 or 8 years ago. It was GoPro Youthman at that time. Now, honestly, I had bought a GoPro and I thought this would be cool. That was kind of like when YouTube first kind of started taking off, and I was like, dude, this would be cool. I could be a YouTuber.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? GoPro Youthman here. Today we're going to be taking you through the initial setup of the GoPro Hero 6, as well as talk about some of the features and some of the accessories for it. So let's jump right into it.
So I spent 4 years, it was just a place to upload videos for me at that time. So I would do a vacation and I would use my GoPro, and so I'd make a video, GoPro Youthman. And then sometimes there was videos on home theater stuff. And at that time I didn't have a home theater, but I was making videos on, clips and speakers and stuff, just random stuff, And so the channel never really grew. And but then, like I said, just through that whole process, it was like, okay, what would happen if I went all in on YouTube? Can I really grow a channel? And can I use that to provide for my family's needs? And through that process, it kind of became the Youthman channel. So that's kind of the story there. If you enjoy the content I create here on YouTube and want access to additional videos as well as deeply discounted gear when I upgrade and other benefits, click right here to head to patreon.com/youthman. And as always, you guys be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video.